Hey, welcome, Ju- Jamie. Jamie and me. We're here tonight. So we're just going to talk about the chapters and give you some overview on them. They were great chapters. I hope you get a chance to read them. If you haven't read them, get in there. If you're interested, so just to start out, next week we're going to read chapters 14 and 15, is it? 14,
Yeah.
15, and 16.
Yes.
And those are all on movement, healthy movement. They're going to talk about different things that you can do to get your movement, even stuff that you can do that does not require exercise. So those are really good chapters. They'll talk about NEAT and EAT for physical activity. So those will be really great. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and talk about chapter 12 because it's a really good one. The chapter talks, this is about transition. So if you are in a diet, so to speak, we really don't consider this a diet. It does have a weight loss component, but really the goal of the program is to teach you how to eat so that you can maintain your weight loss and maintain a healthy weight if you don't need to lose weight. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the Be Slim. That's an acronym for breakfast, exercise, support, low-fat meals every 3 hours, individual plan, and monitor. That spells Be Slim. So I'm just going to go over that really quickly. It's so important to eat breakfast. That's really an important thing. Getting some exercise and movement is really important. Sandy's coming on. Hi, Sandy. Also, the support that goes with that. He talks about it's great to read the book, but it's really great to have a supportive community through it, or a health coach or a healthcare professional he talks about. So, obviously your family and friends can be great supports for you too, but support is a really key ingredient. Creating an environment where you have people that support you in doing it. If you're constantly fighting with people about eating, having all kinds of things in your house that you are trying to avoid eating, that can wear you down. So it's really good to focus on the people that are helping you reach your goals. And then low-fat meals every 3 hours. Eating every 3 hours, that's really the key to this program. It keeps your blood sugars nice and stable, and those are really great things too. So he talks about eating low glycemic, satisfying your hunger, controlling your caloric intake, contains low amounts of healthy fats, and keep to a 3-hour schedule. Hi, Sarah. She looks concerned. I think she's frozen. So those are really key to maintaining your weight. So basically, as you go through this book, the first part was about helping you lose weight if you needed to do that. And then this section is really about helping you maintain your weight. So, and then the individual plan and monitoring it. He recommends that you continue to monitor your weight, weigh in weekly, but he also talks about taking, if you have a pair of pants that fit you really nicely, put those on periodically to make sure you still fit in those. And if things start to get tight, then you need to adjust your intake. I'm not going to go over the next part very much. It's about calculating your how many calories you need to maintain your weight. But I can put a link in the class that you can then plug in your information, and then it'll calculate it for you. But you can see what goes into determining how many calories that you need to maintain your weight. It also talks about transitioning off of the weight loss component and gradually increasing your calories over a 4 to 8 week period of time, depending on how much weight you lose. So that's a really key ingredient, is once you lose your weight, a lot of times, we hit our goal and we're just going to go back to eating what we ate before and as many calories as we ate before, and then you just gain it all back relatively quickly. We have a pretty structured way to introduce foods back into your diet and to introduce those calories gradually so that your body has time to adjust to them. So I'm really only going to talk about that a little bit. But were there any questions about chapter 12 that kind of stood out for you? Sandy or Sarah, anybody? Or Jamie, you might have had questions. You've read this probably as many times as I have. Any comments so far?
Not really.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm on page 163 right now. This is where he kind of gets into some things to consider as you add foods back into your diet, or if you're at a healthy weight, how to choose foods. So he gives you, he said, you should be having at least 2 servings of fruit and 4 servings of vegetables every day. So what is a serving of vegetables? Does anybody remember that?
It's like one cup cooked vegetables. And
is it a cup or is it a half a cup? A serving?
Oh, you're right. It's a half a cup.
Okay, good. I thought I'm telling people the wrong thing. But it's a cup of lettuce and that sort of thing would be a cup.
Yeah.
A serving. So you want to have 4 servings of vegetables every day and then 2 servings of fruit generally. And he talks about, it's better to choose fresh versus, frozen or canned. But when you do choose those, like in the wintertime, it's sometimes less expensive to choose frozen fruits or vegetables. And those are off, but you just need to make sure they aren't adding any sweeteners or fats or anything to them. A lot of times they aren't. They're really, it's really a pretty healthy way to go. He talks about when you eat corn, the best way to eat it is on the cob. Yay, Iowa! It's a higher glycemic, and that's really what this program is. We're teaching you is low glycemic, not low carbohydrates or a lower fat, but a low glycemic. Choosing from the lower glycemic. So read through that. That has some great ideas of how to shop, and then talks about healthy starches, which are healthy breads. Think about what do you consider a healthy bread?
See, that one is a hard one for me. So like I look for breads that are whole wheat, but I also try to look for ones that have the least amount of ingredients. And it is so hard to find a bread. Like even if you go and look in like the bakery aisle, and I turn that over and I look at all those ingredients and I see everything that's added.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I'm not a bread maker. I've thought about trying to make my own bread, but I don't know.
A lot of the ingredients in breads are added vitamins, though, so you might kind of take that into consideration. A lot of them have added minerals and vitamins, and those have weird names that we don't. It doesn't tell you, oh, we've added vitamin B6 and we've added this. They give you some, the chemical name for it. So sometimes that's deceiving, but yeah, you're right. It's really difficult. I know that I try to buy a bread that has at least 5 grams of fiber. And that helps, but it's the stone ground or whole wheat. But I thought it was interesting. I haven't really tried pumpernickel. I do like sourdough. Now, if you create, Sandy?
Yeah, I basically gave up bread. I just don't eat bread anymore, except for like that cauliflower pizza crust, and I've made it into breadsticks, which really is good when I dip it into tomato soup and stuff. But I forgot that I can actually eat some breads, like pumpernickel.
Yeah, I think that's more of a rye. Has more of a rye flavor.
I love pumpernickel. I just didn't know I could actually eat bread.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Yeah, and he's saying it's important that we do eat. And he says 4 to 5 servings a day. And
Wow.
Slice of, now that's when you're on maintenance, but a slice of bread is 1 serving. So pumpernickel, sourdough, and I do like sourdough, and stone ground, and then the Indian breads made with chickpea flour. So those are all, broaden your horizons, try some other kinds of breads. He does talk about, cereals a lot. I don't know if you guys eat cereal for breakfast, but most, most commercial breakfast cereals are processed, so we try to stay out of those. So, and pasta, even pasta is okay. I found a pasta at Costco that's made with edamame. Edamame, is that the word? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it at Costco, and they also have a lentil pasta to try, so you could try that.
Yeah.
But he does talk about that it's better to have it if it's al dente, so it's a little tough. But I've also, in our Meltdown Challenge, they also had a post about pasta that is cold, processed differently than pasta that's hot. You have to eat it cold. So in like a salad, you could have a pasta salad, and then it's easier to digest that pasta. He's not real big on rice, but I had sushi this weekend, so this was pretty cool. He says, so the glycemic level of rice is almost 100, white rice.
Yeah.
But when it's made into sushi, because it's served with seaweed vinegar and protein, it drops to below 50. So that's pretty interesting. So it's just interesting how you can make things more lower glycemic. So anyway, there was tons of stuff in here. I want to give Jamie time to talk about her chapter because I kind of sucked all the time last week. But just one other thing I wanted to say, there's a section in here about eating out and the pitfalls of that. And he talks about when you go out to eat, if you have alcohol, if you drink alcohol, make sure you order before you drink it, he said. Because when you drink alcohol, the first thing that happens is the inhibitory neurons in our brains start to shut off. Mm-hmm. And we kind of know that from high school or whenever we were drinking, we started drinking. It was 18 when I was in high school. So, you kind of, something to consider, and stay away from the pizzerias and the all-you-can-eat buffets. I think that's pretty much a given. So lots of great information in here. So anyway, any questions about Chapter 12? All right. Your turn, Jamie.
Okay. So Chapter 13 kind of starts into the movement or the habits of motion. It kind of it touches on those a little bit, but it also talks about my favorite thing that I learned from this chapter was the things like basal, is that how you say that word? Metabolic rate.
Oh, basal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it talks about how, so that kind of is, we kind of think about that as something that we can't change. That's, something that that's just what our body burns when we're in a neutral state. But he talks about how we can make changes to some of our organs. We can change the size of them. And the two biggest ones are, he talks about our muscles and then our brain. And that's on page 173. So he's kind of giving ideas, things that I just had never thought about before on, I always exercise. Yes, you burn calories that way, but you don't think about all the other ways that your body burns calories necessarily. And so obviously muscles, if we build our muscles. And what I didn't like was on page 172 where it says after age 20 we begin losing muscle cells at an ever increasing rate. They're replaced with fat cells which burn far less energy. So obviously I didn't like reading that, but I already knew that. I know my body changes as I get older. But he talks about that the good news is that the muscle deterioration is reversible. So, and he kind of just talks about how unlike your bones, immune system, lungs, and other organs whose energy requirements are fairly fixed, the contribution from your muscles can vary. So that's why it's important to keep that muscle tone and to work on that muscle tone. He does also talk about, which I like too, because I've always been kind of an all or nothing person. So I always, go and exercise and think that's the best way maybe to lose weight. But going back to page 170, I forgot about that. He talked, there's a little box there about obesity and rigorous exercise and how it's actually a dangerous combination. And I can see that, if you're several pounds overweight and you're not exercising normally, every day, and then you go and you work out hard and maybe run or do things that your body's not used to doing, and how that's actually detrimental to your health because you can hurt yourself. And you're probably going to get frustrated and discouraged and you're going to quit. So his habits of motion system I like. And when we get into the chapters where it really talks about those, just the little things that we don't think about that we're burning calories doing every single day. And and then the other part about the brain, I didn't realize that. I mean, obviously you're thinking all the time, but I don't think about the calories that my brain's burning, I guess. So I have actually tried to incorporate some of this stuff, like brushing my teeth with my opposite hand, which is hard to do, actually. And it's hard to keep doing because it gets kind of frustrating when you can't do it very well. Or I always park in the same parking spot at Walmart. And I try to tell myself, okay, park in a different parking spot so that my brain has to remember where I parked. Or like he suggests, driving home a different route than you're used to. We're just such creatures of habit. And so we do those things. I mean, and honestly, everything else in our life is complicated sometimes. So sometimes it's easy just to do those things to take the stress off of it. But when we think about it, and I hadn't thought about it before, that I could actually burn calories by doing things differently than what I would normally do. And it's not hard to do that. So I kind of liked how he talked about that. He talks about tapping into music in motion. That's something too that I like music, but I kind of forget that it does help you move, more if you're playing some music that you like to dance to around your house. And I'm not one that likes to do that. I have a friend who she loves to, listen to music and dance and stuff around the house, and it's fun when I do it. I just don't think about doing it. So, and this chapter just kind of touches on that. And the next few chapters, it's going to get into more detail on things that we can add to our day. But he's just kind of touching on, there's just so many ways that we can actually add extra, things that help us burn calories during the day that, aren't going to the gym 3 days a week. And he talks about that too, about how, the 3-day-a-week workout is good for you, but if it's introduced properly, it's good for you. If you're not used to doing it, then like I said earlier, you get frustrated and then you want to quit. I actually like to go exercise. It's fun for me, but it's more of a social aspect. Like I don't like to necessarily do it on my own, but I like the interaction with other people. So it doesn't bother me. Some days I don't want to go and I want to skip, but let's see. Something else. And then on page 175, he sort of gives an overview of the EAT and the NEAT. And so the EAT is the exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's the planned exercise, which is what most of us think of. I mean, I know before I read this book, I just thought that's how I burn calories. I have to plan to do the exercise, for 30 minutes or whatever it is. And then the NEAT is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's everything that we're doing all the other hours that we're awake during the day. And actually how those are the most important activity minutes that we can spend for weight maintenance. And honestly, I have an office job and I've had an office job forever. And until I got my Fitbit, which I probably had it, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. I mean, I knew I wasn't moving a lot, but that thing really opened my eyes up to how little I moved. And now that Fitbit, for people who have one of those, they have the hours during the day that you're moving. And so I just looked at mine tonight to see, like, it tells me actually how long I was sitting still. I sat still for like a whole hour and a half without moving. So it's just those little things that, you don't think about. But so if you can just try and get up and move around during the day. And
hey, Jamie.
You
I
want to
just
say
wanted
something?
to add a comment about that moving around. My health coach, Deb, is a massage therapist, and she works with injuries. That's her specialty. She works with people who've been in car accidents and different things like that. But she will tell you that there's really almost nothing worse for you than sitting for long periods of time. It's so bad for our bodies. It's really important for us to get up. And so whenever I'm teaching a client about drinking water, they say, well, I have to go to the bathroom all the time. And it's like, that's great, because then you won't sit for hours.
Yeah.
You have to get up. Just look at it as an opportunity to get up and move a little bit, because that's so much better for your body. But
Yeah. And I, on page 175 in the sidebar, there's a quote there from, it must be a doctor from the Mayo Clinic, but then it says Dr. A's translation: put down the remote, shovel your walk, open your cans with a manual opener, use the stairs, blah, blah, blah. And so I have, since reading these chapters, I have been more mindful of, I do every day wash my dishes by hand, and the majority of them. I have a manual can opener, but I try to focus on just those little things. I don't know how to change my TV without the remote. That's the problem with TVs nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they
just
walk over to the TV and change it with the remote.
yeah, see, and I don't know, but it's just being more thoughtful of that. And I guess I will say, after reading these chapters and just trying to focus on my own personal health, I do actually sit less than I did before, but I still find things that are relaxing to me that I like. I like to garden, or even just going for a nice walk outside is nicer. And honestly, I enjoy doing the dishes. It's kind of quiet time for me, so, or even folding laundry or stuff like that. But yeah, just being more aware of what sitting for so long can do to you and do to your body, and how you can add more things into your routine, just to really be healthier. And then the last part of this chapter talks about the thermic effect of food on page 176. So this is another interesting thing something that I found interesting was, the foods that we do eat, depending on what we choose to eat. Like he talks about, choosing more lean protein, because your body is, it takes more energy to digest the protein than it does to process the carbohydrates and the fats. So, and I don't know, somewhere else in here, or somewhere I helps, uses more energy or something. I don't remember if I read that in this book or somewhere else. But so for me, learning about this stuff is just being mindful of, first of all, how the foods are affecting me and just the way I feel, but then also how they're digesting and the energy they're burning, and then how I can help that process out too. Did anybody else have anything in this chapter that they found interesting or have questions about?
Bless you.
Thank you.
Well, if not, we're about out of time. But if honestly, you guys, feel free to contact either Jamie or I if you have questions as the week goes. Shoot us a message through Facebook, or you guys have Jamie's phone number. Oh, by the way, Sandy, this is Jamie. Sandy lives in Creston.
Hi.
Hi.
And so next week we're going to read 14, 15, and 16, and those are all on exercise.
Right.
So those will be good chapters to read. So any comments that you have during the week, or any insights, would be great. Other than that, we will see you guys next week. It was nice to see your pretty faces, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay, see ya. Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.